Tradesmen built America. Not policymakers or desk jockeys, but hardworking, blue-collared men and women. Join me, Roger Wakefield, on conversations with some of the nation's most successful skilled laborers. This is the Trade Talks. Did you think when you got into the trades that you would end up running one of the biggest handyman company in the United States?
Absolutely not. That 5 years ago, this time 5 years ago, that was not even on my radar. I was deep in the weeds doing HVAC and just kind of doing my normal thing, and here we are.
To go from a tradesman to a handyman, a lot of people think, well, that's going just the opposite direction.
You know, I don't think I ever put any thought to it that way. I never heard people complaining about handyman. I didn't work with, well, I take that back. I worked with quite a few plumbers, but we just didn't discuss handyman.
No, and I don't mean it in a bad way.
Yeah.
Most people that are handymen, when they think, well, I want to learn plumbing or I want to learn HVAC or I want to learn electrical, I'm good with my tools, I'm good with my hands, I'm going to go ahead and get a license. And I'm going to say move up, and not that it's really a move up. It's a different move. Normally you don't see a licensed technician. And I mean, basically you had your HVAC master's license.
Yep.
And now you're running the biggest handyman company in the nation.
Well, my thought process behind that is this. HVAC has been scaled, $100 million a year companies, plumbing, electrical, roofing, you name it, it has been scaled large. I did some research and was looking online, looking at local companies, looking at what was out there, looking at reviews, and I just was like, I think the number one rated handyman was a franchise here in DFW, been open for 13 years. They had like 65 reviews at a 4.4 on Google, and I was like,
that's easy to beat.
I can get 65 reviews.
Yeah, this week.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't understand why handyman's any different than any other trade. Now, there was a lot of learning involved. I did not understand that handyman had a negative stigmatism to it.
And I don't think it's a negative one.
Yeah.
I think that, and you know, we've talked about that. I don't think it's negative. People tell me all the time, you hate handyman. No, I love them. As long as they're not doing plumbing, electrical, or HVAC.
But they create a lot of work for plumbers.
Absolutely. I know, and they do. But I mean, I call handymen to fix my masonry work, patch sheetrock holes that I've had to cut. You know, I tell my customers, look, you don't want a plumber fixing your sheetrock.
Right.
But you don't want a sheetrock guy fixing your plumber either. So, I have nothing against handyman. I think every plumbing, electrical, and HVAC company should have a great relationship with a handyman.
100%.
That's going to come in and do things right.
Yep. Also give them a good name too, because if you're referring them out, then they need to provide the same level of customer service that your customers are used to.
You bet. I think that's huge.
So, and that's actually where, I was working at a much larger HVAC company, and that's really where the idea come across, is because we couldn't find anybody. If you've been in plumbing and you go through and you're walking through somebody's attic, you break their ceiling. Okay, they've already had a problem at their house. They've waited for you to come. You fixed it, and now you broke their ceiling. So now they're not too happy. And the last thing you want is to refer somebody to come fix it. Now your customer's more inconvenienced. Now they're upset. And what if the handyman doesn't show up? What if he doesn't do a good job? What if he gets their house dirty or breaks something else? And now they're just really have a whole bad impression of your company because you sent this guy. And we were just having nonstop problems like that. And
that's completely understandable.
Yeah.
I mean, great reasons to do it. But let's go back. You used to be an HVAC technician.
Yes.
What made you want to get into the trades? Now, did you go to college?
I did not.
Okay.
I was actually a high school dropout.
I was too, but I did go back and graduate with my class.
Yep.
But I quit school the middle of my junior year.
Yep.
Started plumbing. Realized I loved it. And a girl I was dating.
Yeah, all starts there.
It does. It does. A girl I was dating, we were talking one day, and she said, I don't think I could ever marry anybody that didn't graduate high school.
Yeah.
I thought, wow, you know what? Maybe one day. So I did. I went back, and luckily I was far enough ahead when I quit that I was able to graduate with my class. But how'd it go for you getting in the trades? What made you pick the trades over college?
College was never an option for me. So, I think what really, I kind of go back a little bit. So my parents went through a really nasty divorce. My dad emptied the bank account, split. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. I was the oldest son. So I felt like I needed to go to work and help provide for the family. So I got a part-time job, and then that wasn't enough money to help. So then I got a full-time job, and I just stopped going to school and working more. It kind of just was a natural progression because we needed food and lights. And
isn't it funny how that works?
yeah. And, I didn't need math. That was dumb.
Yeah.
All right. I'm never going to use math.
Right.
And we'll get back around to that later.
Oh, yeah. No, I understand.
Yeah. And so I got myself, stopped going to school. I eventually did go get my GED. Got myself in a little bit of legal trouble being a young, angry adolescent. And a family friend took me in, and his dad was, one of these butt-kicking guys, and kind of set me straight, said, if you're going to live here, 1, you're going to go get your GED. 2, you are going to do something with yourself. So you're either going to go to trade school, you're going to go to college, you're going to go do something. Of course, I didn't have the money to go to college.
Now, is that here in Texas?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So I decided I wanted to be a firefighter. So I went to Fire Academy in Rockwall, went to EMT school, met a girl, failed EMT school because you got to make an 80. And then she talked me into skipping a few classes. Yeah, don't skip diabetes class because that's a hard one.
Yeah.
So after I didn't make that and decided it wasn't for me, I was looking for a job in the classifieds in the newspaper, and it said HVAC, 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 HVAC. I mean, there was just so many jobs, and I was like, I'd flipped a couple houses and done some things, done a little painting, little stuff like that. I was like, man, I don't know anything about HVAC, but this looks like a good career to go into because there's literally a quarter of the jobs in the classifieds are HVAC. So I ended up...
Now, for those people out there that don't know, the classifieds used to be where we look for jobs. There used to be a newspaper that we'd get on a daily basis, and we'd go to the help wanted or, scroll through who's looking for people. So,
right.
No, it's a little different these days.
Yeah. And then, when you start highlighting all the jobs that you might find interesting, and like you look and there's all these yellow highlights of HVAC, I was like, well, how do I learn about air conditioners? I like air conditioning.
You bet.
So,
as most of us do.
Yeah. I actually ended up going to Lincoln Tech in Grand Prairie. So I drove from Rockwall to Grand Prairie, which is like an hour drive every single day for 8 months. Graduated probably first, second in the class. I really enjoyed it. I realized that I didn't do good in school because I was bored.
Yeah.
And having the hands-on and kind of the bookwork combined, it really just made sense to my ADD brain. And started out doing new construction startups, went into a 1-hour franchise as a maintenance tech, then a service tech, then a sales tech. And just, kept on doing that and started a company, and then that failed and joined up with another company, and here we are.
Okay, so the one you started, what kind of company was that?
So I had met my neighbor, and he was building a house next door to me. He pulls up with this big oil drilling platform in his backyard. I was like, what is this guy doing? He's drilling a water well. I went over there and started talking to him, and he was drilling a well for a geothermal system. He had just started his own business about 3 months in, and he did geothermal systems in big homes here in DFW.
Love that.
And I thought it was very fascinating how you could use the temperature of the earth and the ground to heat and cool and transfer energy back and forth. And I thought it was fascinating. And he kind of presented an opportunity as we were neighbors over the next year of, hey, I need somebody to come in, and I'm installing all these, but I don't know how to run a service company. Can you come start the service side of the business, and I'll do the new construction side? And we did that for 8 years. And we grew that, I think, 8 or 9 million, about 40, 45 employees.
Cool.
And I think I told you the story earlier, then it fell apart.
You bet. No, it happens. So HVAC, you picked it just because there were more job opportunities in the classifieds that day?
Yep. That's what I remember. It's just, I guess I could have been a plumber too if they were a lot more.
If they were hiring more there, absolutely. Yeah. Isn't that funny the way that works?
Yeah.
I got into plumbing because one of my best friends were working one night, and it was a slow night, and he was telling me about his dad and his 3 brothers that were plumbers. And he said, look, they love it. And I'm like, wow, I never thought about being a plumber. And not long after that, I R1. So pretty funny.
I didn't even know, man, let's see, I was probably 20. I don't recall having any thoughts before that, other than when I was flipping a house. I remember I walked by and there was an air conditioner in the closet and it wasn't working right. I was like, oh man, I'm going to actually have to pay somebody to fix that because I don't know anything about it. And I think that was my first thought of actually recalling paying attention to an air conditioner.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So you get into HVAC. How'd you get into it? Tell me about your first job.
So the people that took me in and kind of kicked my butt, told me I had to go do something with myself. When I graduated trade school, he had a friend. So he was probably 60 at this point in time. He had a friend that was a home builder. So he reached out to him, and the home builder reached out to, I think it was called Airtron at the time. And they hired me on as a startup tech. He got me an interview, and I interviewed, and I started starting up new construction HVAC systems. And then, as you know, if you ever start up a new system, sometimes they don't work.
You bet.
And sometimes they have installation problems. And so I would just have to start learning diagnostics and, how to fix nail holes in condensate lines and how to double check drains and all that other good stuff. So I did that for a year and just started up a block of houses at a time.
Pretty interesting. So take just a second. Tell everybody who you are and what you do.
My name is Ben Alexander, and I own a company here in DFW called Hank's Handyman Services. So we do general handyman work, anything you could think of around your house, from assembling items, hanging stuff on walls, painting, texture, drywall, carpentry. Did I say tile? I think I did. To full bathroom remodels. I think we've remodeled roughly 200 bathrooms in the past 4.5 years. We're currently expanding into replacement windows and exterior doors.
In your list of handyman work, you didn't mention plumbing, electrical, or HVAC.
Because we don't do plumbing, electrical, or HVAC.
And there's a lot of plumbers, and we've talked about this.
Yes.
That hate handyman.
I did not know that when I started Handyman either.
I know.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. But the funny thing is, and I tell people, look, I don't hate handyman. I hate handymen that provide services they're not legally allowed to provide.
Right.
Because that affects the homeowner. If a handyman fixes your plumbing and your house floods, insurance ain't covering it. They're saying, look, you didn't hire a licensed plumber.
Mm-hmm.
And, it can be scary. So that's my only kickback to handyman. And I see them all the time. They're down at the big box store trying to figure out how to put two plastic fittings together, and they're talking to the young kid working at the box store saying, like, how does this work? How do you turn this? And I'm like, oh my God, this is what they're out doing. But, let's go back. So to go from being a technician to owning your own company, and as a startup, really, you work for yourself.
Yep.
It's not like there's somebody standing there over your shoulder saying, hey, do this, hey, do this, hey, do this.
This was my first tool.
Yeah.
Followed by my laptop.
And it blows people's minds that we can live off that and do a good job. But what made you want to do things right? Because I think that most people that do open their own businesses, it's because they have done things right. I don't think that you ever get a horrible technician in the field, can't ever do anything right, that messes things up each and every day, and he wakes up one day and says, man, I'm just going to open my own company. It's like, dude, that is going to be a problem.
I actually may disagree, because I've had plenty of employees, even worse with Handyman, because in Texas, there's absolutely no legal requirements.
No, nothing.
So if
and roofers.
If John was over here and he wanted to be a handyman tomorrow, or if I have my employee and he gets mad, he thinks he can go do it because he sees what we charge and thinks it's that
Start a
easy,
website.
They literally will quit.
Yeah. This video is sponsored by Leak Pro. Go check out leak-pro.com.
And sometimes they quit and because one of my customers offered them the little carrot and they took it, and now they think they're going to go and start their own huge company.
You bet.
Usually within 2 or 3 months, half of them are calling back, and that's just a no-go. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
But
when you walk out that door, that bridge gets burned right by
but I don't let people come back. But, to your question about what made me want to do it, I just really feel that, the way I was raised, and, I remember sleeping in a family friend's garage on an air mattress with boxes. And in Texas, we have what's called water bugs.
Oh, yeah.
They're this big. They look like the world, like a 1.5 inch.
Oh, yeah. I've seen them like
cockroach.
3 inches long. You bet.
Yeah. Sleeping in a garage and waking up with one of those on your face and slapping it and hearing it hit the wall and then looking for it with your BB gun to pop it with the air. Okay, I just put Raid around that air mattress. And then at one point my parents owned printing companies before copiers were real popular, closed most print shops. We'd slept in the back of the print shop at one point. And I just think, I had a good work ethic because my parents, like in the print shop, they couldn't afford employees. So after school, if we got a big print job, I was loading the press.
You bet.
I was running a staple machine, doing bindery, running this huge cutting machine, moving paper.
And you got all your fingers and thumbs. And
I know. Man, I don't know what was wrong with my parents. That thing would take your whole arm.
Oh, yeah.
About 3 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
That thing is the size of this table. You just cut a whole stack of thousands of sheets and not even think twice about it. I was running that machine. That's interesting, actually.
At what age?
11, 12.
It's funny because people ask me, how did you get started? And the truth is, I got started. A friend told me about plumbing. I called one of his brothers. But when I was growing up, my dad would come in the house and it wasn't, hey, do you want to help me work on the car? It's like, hey, put your shoes on. We got to change brakes.
So I do to my son. He hates it.
You bet.
He complains.
But he'll love it.
I know.
One day he will.
That's why I do it.
Because it wasn't, hey, do you want to come help me? It's like, come help me. We got work to do. And, you get out there. And I remember when I was little, first starting, all I could do is press the pedal on the brakes to help him bleed the brakes. And he's like, pump it up 5 times and then hold it down. And, you do that and then it go down. And he said, I don't let it back up till I tell you to. And you tighten it that and let it
don't mess up because Dad's going to yell at you.
You're going to suck air back in. The neat thing is, by the time I was in high school, which, God, even in middle school, I started working for the farmer down the street, hauling hay during the day. So by the time I was in high school, I've been working summers, sun up to way past sundown. I could do almost anything on a car: alternators, starters, fuel pumps, brakes, radiators, you name it, let's change it, no big deal, which is a great way to pick up girls, guys. And to be able to do stuff like that, but before I was even in high school, I knew that I was mechanically inclined. I can work on things. I can fix things. So I love asking people, how did you get started? And man, what made you become good at it?
Yeah, I just think work ethic. I had a paper route when I was probably about the same age. And we actually lived in a town called Denison. And I had it's real funny. I do have fond memories of the paper route. I'm pretty skinny now, but I was really skinny at that age. And the Sunday paper, it had a package in the front.
Oh, yeah.
It was so heavy.
The big canvas. Right.
Then my dad had to actually lift it up and put it on me. And he goes, now, son, don't crash until you get half your papers done. But I remember I couldn't reach the papers in the back, so I'd have to pull them out of the front. And then the back would get heavy and it would choke me.
You bet.
So at that point, I'd have to get off my bike, and I couldn't actually pick it up and turn it. So I'd have to spin around and stop, let the momentum spin the bag.
There you go.
It was fun. One night, a dog got off its chain, and it was dark.
That'll take the fun out of the paper.
Yeah, I heard some noise behind me, and I turned around. It was a Rottweiler with dragging its chain, chasing me down the street. I got a call Monday morning from the newspaper people because they had some complaints that I missed about 3 blocks of houses.
Yes, I did.
I sure did. I had extra papers. I delivered them on Monday evening.
That's pretty good.
The Sunday paper.
That's pretty good.
But yeah, I think it's just from childhood, and I've always had just a good work ethic. I think I didn't have a choice. It was, hey, you're working after school. Let's go. And I just got so used to it that I was just like, I knew that I was working. I don't think in my younger career, probably go back to all my old managers at Airtron and apologize. I probably wasn't the best employee.
You bet.
I didn't understand the why, and they never told me the why of why I had to. I hated carrying this 2-gallon gas can of water into the condensate line and dumping water down it. So I didn't do it. And then a few houses flooded after the fact, and
you bet.
I got griped at, and I was like, this is dumb. I hate carrying this dumb water jug up there, but as my career progressed and I got in different leadership roles and I learned, I was like, oh, that probably cost them $5,000 in water damage. No wonder it was important.
You bet.
So, there's a lot of learning along the path. I recognize that with some of my guys. I'm like, I know you. You were me. I know exactly what to say to you because you're me.
Yeah, but now you explained it a different way.
Correct. I explained it the way that I would have liked to receive the information when I was 21, 22, first in my van thinking this is a waste of time. I've always not been a person that if I thought it was a waste of time, I didn't want to do it because I didn't understand the why. Why is it important? Oh, okay. Because if I flood a house and it costs $10,000 and that happens enough in the company, well, they can't really give me the raise that I want.
You bet.
Because they spent all the money over there. Okay, that makes sense.
I like that.
Yep.
So you've started multiple companies.
Yes.
The last one probably being the biggest. Probably it's one you definitely enjoy. I know that. What did you not know that you wish you'd have known when you started your first company?
Financials. How to run a company.
Oh, wait, we talked a while ago. You still don't know your financials. You're learning. I learned. No, I know.
Balance sheet's tough.
You bet.
I got the
No, I love that. Yeah, because look, I tell plumbers all the time, you don't even know what you don't know.
Correct.
And that's the scary thought.
You don't know what you don't know till you know what you didn't know.
Yeah. And man, sometimes even then you don't always know it. You're like, well, I've got this financial. Doesn't mean I know how to read it or anything.
Right.
So there's a million things.
And, that's one of the things, too. Like, you can learn a lot on YouTube and learn a lot on the internet. I'd be very leery of who you get your financial advice from.
Oh, yeah.
Because they may not know it either. So
they just started a YouTube channel and started talking about it. I've heard people are doing that in plumbing.
Yeah. Starting YouTube channels talking about pipes and waters and stuff.
I mean, who would watch that?
Like talking to a handyman guy.
I know. It's crazy. So what do you wish you'd have done different with your first company?
I wish I would have sat down and had more open conversations with my business partner. Ultimately, the partner relationship kind of failed at the end there. And we had differences of where we were going and how money should be spent. And I think just more communication.
I think that's a big one. I've had two business partners here recently that there was literally no communication at all.
Yep.
Whatever communication it was, since they're both the majorities, they just feed you whatever information they think you need. And it's like, man, this is not the way to do it. And then you try and text them or call them, they don't answer, they don't return the text. Communication is huge.
Yes.
And I think the lack of it makes for a bad relationship.
It does. Communication is difficult, but it's extremely important. Our whiteboard at the office right now, this quarter, is literally, it says communication in big blue dry erase letters. Communication. Big underline under it because, like I told you earlier, I'm an ADD guy. My leg bounces right now, and I think everything in my head's going on. And I think everybody understands what's going on, but if I don't tell them and lay it out where they can understand it, then I'm not effectively. I'm communicating, but how effective is my communication?
No, and that's good. I'm a lot the same way. I'll walk in a room and say, look, I got an idea. I want to do this, and this, and see how this ties together and all this. And people are nodding. It's like, I'll walk out like, okay, man, this will get done.
100%.
But wait, I never told anybody, hey, I want you to do this part. I want you to do this part. I want it by this date. It's just like, let's go.
Y'all got it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Great. Everybody understand? Cool.
That was 65 seconds.
They understood. I want to start something.
Right.
That was it.
Right. What do you want to start?
Well, I come back in a week later. Where are we at?
What's our goal for starting it?
What do you mean, where are we at?
Yep.
I told you all about it last week. We're not going. What's the problem? Communication, especially business partners. I truthfully think every business partner, every group of business partners should get together once a week, once every 2 weeks, even if it's just go out and have breakfast, go have lunch, just a 5-minute conversation. What's going on? Where are we at?
Yeah, for sure.
It doesn't have to be, okay, here's the numbers. Here's how we got here. Here's how we did this. It doesn't necessarily have to be that deep, but it should be, man, what's going on?
Yep.
Things are looking good. Things are looking bad. We need to work on this. We need this. Do you know anybody who does this? There's a million things that could be made really simple just by a meeting like that every week.
There's a psychological reason to meet as well, because running a company, especially the bigger you get, the more employees you get, the more complicated it is. It actually gets lonely, because if you're low on funds, or you're struggling to make payroll, or you've got big decisions to make, who do you go talk to? And if you have partners and you don't, I can't go talk to my wife. She tells me she doesn't want to hear about work.
Oh, no, and I get it.
Yeah. So that's who do you go talk to? Because sometimes your partner has one little phrase or one 60-second little conversation that just like opens your eyes.
Turns the freaking light on.
Turns the light on. And you're like, oh, that's perfect. I wish I would have known that 3 months ago.
Uh-huh. And they're like, well, why didn't you ask? Well, why don't we have these conversations more often?
Right.
It's the egg and the chicken.
Why do we not ask? Because I want to do it on my own. I got it. And maybe I don't have all the answers. And maybe, I can figure it out.
And that's a funny way to put it, because I remember talking to a vice president of one of the largest mechanical contractors in Dallas. And this is back when I was a superintendent. And we were talking about the way people are on jobs, because when I'm running a job, I'll run most things by a vice president that I think needs to be done. But also I have no problem just jumping in, making changes. Boom. I'll come back and say, oh, by the way, here's what we did.
Right.
Like, wait, why'd you do that?
Yeah.
Because something needed to be done.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember talking to him one day, and he said, Roger, when I walk out on your job and I ask you if you understand this, if you say no, you'll tell me what part about it you don't understand, where I can explain it to you. He said, most superintendents just tell me yes, but then when it comes a month later, it's like, hey, where's this answer? Like, I didn't get that. I didn't know how to put that together, yada, yada, yada. And he says, I just don't get it. I said, Ronnie, look, most people don't want to tell you they can't do something or they did something wrong. You've got them in a position because you expect a lot from them. And I said, my thing is, if there's something I don't understand, I want you to know it because I want to understand it.
Right, exactly.
I said, I look at it completely different. You put me in this position. I told you before I started, look, I don't know everything about this. I'm going to tell you that from the get-go. I'm a good plumber. I'm a good leader. I'm good at getting things done, but I still don't know everything. And he's like, I don't expect you to.
Right.
Okay. We're on the same page right here from the get-go.
Communication.
You bet. So when he comes to me and says, hey, I want you to do this, it's like, I don't know how to do that. And he may roll his eyes or make a face or something, whatever, but hey, dude, I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I get that. I appreciate it. And then we'll talk about it. And it's like, okay, I think I get it. Let me try it for a few days and I'll call you back. Hey, I'm doing this. I want to send this to you and let you look at it. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Change this, do this, do this. Okay. Well, here, let me send you a report. Just change these to your job. Ronnie, why didn't you send me this to begin with? I don't know. Man, give me all the tools to work with. But communication and being able to communicate openly and freely and saying, look, I don't understand this. Or, hey, I don't know how to do it. I tell kids getting in the trades, don't let somebody hand you a tool and say, hey, go cut this. You say, well, I don't know how to use a tool.
Right.
If you don't know how to use it, say, hey, look, I've never used this.
Right.
Yeah, before you cut your fingers off or something. Communication is huge between management and employees, between the technician, the manager, and the entrepreneur. There's got to be communication back and forth, up and down, all those things. But with business partners, there's got to be a lot of communication.
Yes. Yep. There definitely should be. Not just for the business, but also for the health and the relationship of the partnership.
You bet.
If the partnership goes bad, the rest of it follows, right? So that partnership needs to be strong.
Before I had partners, I always looked at partners as like a friendship.
Mm-hmm.
Then I've had partners and it's like, these are not friendships.
Oh, we used to be friends.
Yeah. There's no communication. There's no sharing. There's no talking. Matter of fact, it's like when you get information, it's like, wait, they're not even sharing all the information.
Right.
And it's like, okay, this is so far from a friendship or even what I would consider a partnership. Having partners is tough. But then again, you can also end up with good partners and it can be amazing.
Right. And that's where I personally think I am. You know, the first company, it ended up failing because of a partnership. The second company was actually a used car business. I was dabbling in flipping cars and realized that I'd flipped too many cars and I better make it legal in a hurry. So I ended up opening a used car business because I was bored in HVAC, and COVID hit, and then I closed that thing. So I'm not good at working on cars, and I don't like it, and I should have never done it. I think the only people I made money was the auctioneer and the mechanic. I would make money on like one car, then I'd lose all of it on 6.
Yeah.
And make one on 1 or 2, and then lose it on the next.
You could do
3.
the same thing flipping houses.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's really easy.
Yeah. And it just, COVID shut it down. I was like, I'm going to cut my losses and run. But I had told my wife that I would never, ever start a business from zero again. Never again. It's not fun. It's stressful. I don't want to do it again.
But you did.
I did. And I only did it because of the partners.
Okay.
And who was asking me to do it, or if I wanted to do it, because these guys have been my mentors for, 10, 12 years, maybe a little longer than that. And I have full respect and faith in their abilities because of what they've done in their personal businesses, that I was like, you know what? God, is this why I'm here? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? I know I'm here for a reason. All right. I'm not doing again after this one if this one doesn't work, but I'm going to try it again. Let's go. And we started.
And how long ago was that?
That was June of 2019.
Okay. So
started out getting going, and let's see here, March of 20. That was COVID. And then, all the stuff we've had after that. So I wasn't really sure that we were going to survive that. I think the first week COVID hit, our schedule completely emptied out for like 2 weeks straight.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody with everything that we had canceled.
And this is Texas. That's about as long as COVID lasted in Texas.
Some of us.
Not really.
But yeah.
We went back to work.
No, yeah, we were definitely the stubborn ones.
Mm-hmm.
And especially us tradies.
You bet.
They're like, oh, we're important.
You bet.
What'd they call it? I don't remember. Essential. We're essential workers. So that means we got the whole highway system to ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
It was phenomenal, actually.
Oh, yeah.
I do miss COVID traffic, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, there was no traffic.
None. It was great.
Uh-huh. So how'd y'all do during COVID? During the whole thing?
We grew.
Most trades companies did.
Yep, we grew. The first month was bumpy. We couldn't even find hand sanitizer, and we were, like everybody, trying to figure out what's happening.
Hand sanitizer, all the above.
Yep, I remember I was standing in line at Disney, and people were like, "Oh, they canceled the basketball game. Oh, they canceled this. NFL's canceling that." I was like, "Why? What's happening?" And then get a text from Disney saying, "This was Thursday. Saturday, we're closing Disney." I was like, "I'm at Disney. What do you mean you're closing Disney?" Well, Friday was our last day. It was the best day of Disney you could ever hope.
Oh, I imagine.
Everybody left, and nobody new came in. You could ride every ride you want.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. But we survived COVID, and we navigated it, and we thrived through it. We thrived through all the price changes and the inconsistencies of materials and all the craziness. Having half my staff cough and sneeze and have to take 2 weeks off at a time.
I know. And
then try to figure out how I was going to afford to pay them while they were off. And then 2 months later, they sneezed again and we're off again, and now I have to pay them again. There was some struggles, but we came through it. We more than doubled in size every single year that those couple of years during COVID, and we survived.
A lot of things prospered during COVID,
yep.
Especially if you were related to the trades,
right?
To any of the trades. You told your wife you'd never open a business again.
I did.
And you did.
I did.
Is she involved with the business at all? Does she want to be involved with the business at all?
She works remotely, part-time. She does payroll and some accounting stuff like that. That's the extent of all she wants to do.
No, and that's good. Your marriage may survive then.
Absolutely. I do not manage my wife. She reports directly to my accounting manager. I have nothing to do with any of it. I'm sure she gets some kind of special treatment for vacation or something.
Good.
My guess is that she's not going to get her vacation time request declined, but
yeah, because you get to take your vacation when you want to, which is a good thing. You started a business in a whole new arena.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you really did.
And I did not realize that in the very beginning. I'm just thinking, okay, it's another home service company. What's the big deal? Just, hire people, get processes in place, buy trucks, start marketing, start getting the phones to ring.
You bet.
And I think really what has made it different.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Before you go any further.
Yep.
It's nice because when I started my business, I was able to go over and talk to Gus, your business partners, say, hey, look, I've got a business going. I'm not doing things right. He says, bring your price book over. Let's look at it. I let the price book out. He says, you're not charging enough. I'm like, how do you know that? Because I know this business.
Right.
And I had somebody I could go talk to. When you start a business that's really not a business that has ever done well and prospered and grown, it's hard to have anybody to go talk to.
Right. And, we discussed that a little bit earlier, is that, my partner Gus and I have also done this throughout the years through other organizations, have found people who were successful in home services and that were graceful enough to open their doors and, kind of like what you did to Gus. Hey, come in, because the only way we learn home services is from each other. Mm-hmm. You can't go to college and learn home services, right? You can learn from the field, but that teaches you how to do the task, but not necessarily how to run the business. And, there were doors open. There were little nuggets learned from different places all over the country that could come back and be implemented into the businesses. I couldn't find one. I cannot find a handyman company. I found one doing $5 million a year in Atlanta.
Okay,
right, and he was gracious enough to let me look at that. But that was 3 years into the business, and I finally found somebody. But I could not find a privately owned handyman company that was doing anything over maybe $500,000 a year. Maybe one guy, maybe 2 trucks, 3 trucks, something that wasn't a franchise. Mm-hmm. And obviously, I didn't want to spend the money on a franchise and give my money away.
You bet.
I already know how to do that. I'm not going to pay him for it. So, no, that it was difficult. I didn't understand how to price anything. Had no idea how to come up with a scalable pricing structure. I definitely didn't like the, hey, I charge so much an hour handyman.
T&M, you bet.
Right. Because I learned real quick the first month that if I told somebody I charged $120 an hour, that they weren't going to schedule with me.
Yeah.
And I realized, with my knowledge of the overhead of scaling a large business and what it takes to actually, invest in your business, that I'm going to need to be like $200 an hour.
Oh, yeah.
Something like that. And presenting it that way was just not going to be successful. Mm-hmm. So, it took me 6 months to come up with a scalable pricing structure that worked. That was easy to train somebody because, to me, this is an HVAC company that does handyman and remodeling work. The business model's very, very similar. So I think, that's just one of the things that I didn't come to it as a handyman mindset. I came into it going, oh, this is just a home service company. This is a handyman company. This is a plumbing company.
You bet.
Right? I got my services, and then I got my bigger repairs. And I've got my service technicians, and I've got my installers. I can do this. I just got to figure out what's a service call and what's an install.
You bet.
And where's that line?
How do you define it?
I still struggle with that line.
Oh,
what's a handyman job and what's a remodel? It's a great question. And that's actually an answer we haven't actually defined yet.
Yeah. I can say that.
That's tough.
So when you first start out a company, especially one that is unique like this,
yep.
How do you market it? How do you grow it? How do you get the word out there?
Initially, we had our first customer, which was Milestone Home Services.
Absolutely, which is amazing.
That was helpful because we knew we were going to get some repeat business to at least keep one guy busy right off the bat.
With more than one.
I was one, then real quickly 2.
Yeah.
As soon as spring came along, it was 2, and then 3. But so I think first and foremost, it was, hire the first or second guy and figure out what they do and how they do it. And I think we had sent them to my house. We'd sent them to one of the other partners' houses. teaching them about shoe covers and, the process, walking up to the house, knocking on doors, how to take care of customers, and getting calls. Initially, we set up a lead program with the other home service company. And when we rolled it out, we went out to the plumbers and we went out to the HVAC technicians and we went out to the electricians, and we set incentives in place for those guys who are, as plumbers, you're accessing shower valves. So that means not only do you have drywall damage, but now you have tile in a shower surround. And the tile's not going to match because that tile's 30 years old and they don't make that color of seafoam green anymore.
You bet.
Right. God. Yes, exactly. So we started setting up an internal lead program between a partner company and our company. And we rolled that way with almost no marketing and word of mouth for 2 years. And that kept us steadily growing. I think we grew to 10 handyman guys, 10 techs over the first 2 years. And we didn't really spend much on marketing.
And that's great because, you've got a company that probably at that time has 500 or 600 employees.
Yep.
Feeding 10 handymen.
Yep. That
can do sheetrock repair, tile repair,
right?
Miscellaneous things,
right? And even the jobs, so we'd call them oops jobs. So as if you work in a residential house, you kind of know that if you're in the attic, you could probably step through ceiling, stuff like that. So we would give the other companies discounts on our services, essentially to get access to those customers. So we'll discount your sheetrock repair. That helps you as a business owner, have a lower cost to your repair. That helps us because we have almost no marketing expense. And generally, most people do not have a reliable handyman or a painter or drywall guys. We think the electrical, plumbing, and HVAC trade is tough. Painting, handyman, drywall, masonry, carpentry, it's substantially work. Most everybody wants to go work on the big houses. Nobody wants to come to a residential house and do smaller stuff. So it was a gold mine just to get into the house. Okay, I got this little sheetrock repair. It's only a couple $100, but I get the relationship with the customer. I get the introduction. I'm actually getting paid for the introduction.
Yeah. I noticed on the way in the shingles out front are sagging and breaking, and
yeah,
hey, I can fix that while I'm here.
Right. Yeah. Or just the professionalism. The bar was so unbelievably low, actually. I was impressed by how low the bar for handyman was, because I was used to the main normal trades where there is other competitors in the marketplace providing this level of service, this level of communication, and actually considering the customer experience. Nobody's doing that for a handyman. I really think it is the last unscaled trade. And don't get me wrong, and people may disagree, handyman is a trade.
Oh no, I completely agree.
And in my opinion, it's actually, I've worked with plumbers, I work with HVAC, I work with electricians. It's substantially more difficult for me to train a handyman.
Oh yeah, there's so many different, well, yes and no. I see the yes, because, to be able to repair a section on a roof, a section on a fence, a piece of sheetrock,
every kind of different texture.
Tile in the bathroom, you bet.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely a little bit more complicated. I think the complicated part is that if I'm hiring you as a plumber and I have a plumbing company, you have a certification, meaning you have a certain amount of verifiable hours. You've gone through a testing process, whether it's on paper or hands-on, which I think plumbers in Texas do both.
You bet.
There's nothing for what we do. Absolutely nothing at all.
No, if I walked in tomorrow and say, hey, I'm a handyman.
Yeah.
You're like,
and you've only worked at Starbucks for the past 10 years.
Yeah, well, that doesn't matter. They had handyman work.
Yeah. And they're great.
You bet.
I laugh because when I first started this, I didn't know how to hire a handyman. I didn't know how to interview one. Everybody would take their phone and show me all these great photos. And then they would come in and I was like, I thought you knew how to do this. You told me you knew how to do this. Did you get that out of Better Homes and Garden magazine? I'm pretty convinced y'all just took pictures out of
you bet.
Yeah, page 37. And I think you just showed that to me.
Yeah.
So now when we...
The last 3 handymen show me this exact same picture.
Yeah. Kind of like the Google picture of air duct cleaning, and it's the same picture on everybody's advertisement.
Absolutely.
Like, can y'all not go to Google Images and take the same picture and put it on your advertisement?
Or, run a camera in behind your air duct cleaner and really do it right.
Right. Yeah. So, there's been some challenges, but it's been fun.
I'll almost look for high school kids or maybe kids that have been out and had a job for a while. Can you hang up TV?
Mm-hmm.
Man, if so, have I got a career for you? Then somebody's like, wow, I've hung up TV. That's easy to do. And wait, you'll teach me how to fix sheetrock and this and that. But you say finding a handyman is really hard.
It's difficult. Well, finding a
good one. Let me correct that.
A handyman
you
is
bet.
pretty.
You can probably find
easy.
One any day.
Finding a handyman who is can pass a drug test and background check. Okay, has a valid driver's license.
Those are one of those three is normally a deal breaker for most people.
Yeah, finding a tile guy. Tile guys love narcotics. I just can't figure that out. But anyways, just showing up, being reliable, wearing a uniform, keeping your vehicle clean, all the standard stuff that the three main trades, really, if you include roofing, have really gotten down. Finding people to do that has been difficult, and in the beginning, it was even. Right now, it's not as difficult because when people come in, I think right now we have 45 to 47 employees. So it's easier to sell the business than it was when we had 5. And, we couldn't afford to pay what we can afford to pay now. And we were just figuring it out. But yeah, it's definitely, it's challenging to say the least.
And I see what y'all are set up so well. I remember pulling up next to a Handyman truck back when my office was over in Richardson on Arapahoe, and I pull up next to it at a lot, and I'm on the service road of Central, and I look over and I'm like, wow, this is done really, really nice. And I looked at it and I thought, man, they're doing good. And just the professionalism of the way you present yourself, the way you present the company. And you said it a while ago, we're just a normal home service company. We go by the same professionalism that they do. But in the handyman field, most of them don't.
Correct.
So y'all are taking this to a whole nother level.
Yes. Yeah, I think we have 23 handyman trucks on the road and 2 or 3 dedicated bathroom remodeling crews. We have 30 trucks, I think. And
on the bathroom remodeling crews, your guys don't do the plumbing.
Correct. We actually have a full-time in-house plumber subcontracted from a partner company. And he does all of our plumbing. He controls our schedule. We're really, we're stepping outside the box on bathroom remodels too. I know maybe this is a question you're going to get into later, but if you just think of home remodeling and think of it a little bit differently, kind of going back to when we started Hanks, when I decided that I was going to do what I said I wasn't going to do ever again, I literally pulled out a legal tab and I said, what do people hate about the business that I'm about to get into? What is it? And I wrote them down and I was like, all right, I just need to create systems and processes and a customer experience that handles all of these. And we should be fine. People hate that you don't answer your phone. I mean, they hate that they call a handyman and he doesn't answer, or he doesn't call back, or he doesn't show up, or that he never sends the quote. But
they hate that about plumbers and electricians and HVAC techs too. They're normally chucking a truck.
Right, but you're typically not going to call 4 or 5 plumbers and have 3 out of 5 of them do that to you. Right? If you're calling reputable companies. But if you're on social media and you ask for a handyman and you call 5,
you may not get 4 calls back.
4 may not ever answer their phone.
You bet.
Maybe 1 will call you back eventually, or they call you back and they're booked out for 2 or 3 months because it's one guy and he's booked out 3 months.
And he's got a cool little job that, making a couple of grand a week on.
Yeah, he could take it or leave it. He doesn't really need customers. So that's kind of the initial deal. But, I'm looking at bathrooms differently as well. So, having your bathroom model it's an intrusive experience, especially if you have 2 bathrooms or even 1. It's even worse.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But if you have 2 bathrooms, you're losing 50% of your capacity. Try have
If you have 1, you lost 100%.
Correct. So, this typical remodeled bathroom is, you're going to hire a general contractor. He's going to need a plumber, electrician, a carpenter, a painter, a drywall guy, a tile guy, maybe a cabinet guy. Did I miss one?
I think you're pretty good. Got it.
There's a bunch. I think there's about 7, right? And they come in for 2 or 3 days. They work. then there's a gap until the next guy can show up because he's finishing something else. Then there's 2 or 3 days of work and a gap. And, you're talking 4, 6, 8 weeks to get your bathroom turned. And I think that's completely ridiculous that in 2024, it's going to take, a month to 2 months to get a bathroom.
Yeah, we can build houses that quick now.
Right. So, we're actually training dedicated bathroom crews, and one crew, 2 men, they come in 5 to 10 consecutive days, do your whole entire bathroom.
So what about these guys that are advertising on TV that can remodel your bathroom in a whole day?
Yeah.
I've seen that because it scares the heck out of me as a plumber because I'm like, well, number one, if you fix the plumbing, 1 day is not enough time to get it inspected. I'm just saying.
You know the answer to that question.
Oh, I know the answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I bet all your listeners almost know the answer to that question.
Yeah, but they're not getting it inspected. They're not doing all that.
So here's where we are having a hard time doing bathrooms so fast and so effectively. Plumbing.
I believe that.
Permits. Right? So
the permit process, the inspection process,
the inspection process, waiting on the plumber to show up and waiting on the city inspector, it was really just wrecking our whole entire plan of trying to do a fast, efficient, quick turnover with a very nice product for our customer.
Yeah, wouldn't it be nice to say we can remodel your entire bathroom in 3 days? We'll come in one day, tear it out, come in the next day, get all the stuff on the wall fixed, lined up, and ready to go. Next day we come in, finish it up.
So we actually solved that problem by bringing in the plumber, the on-staff plumber. Like I said, they're subcontracted to us fully. We can control his schedule. We've learned through our partner company how to pull the permits, do all the paperwork, everything else. So we're actually doing demo and doing plumbing the same day. Would demo the shower and let the plumber start on the shower valve, anything, pan, all that, drain, all that kind of stuff. And then if the next thing we need to do in the demo process is as soon as the plumber's done with the shower, we're hopping over to we've already demoed the vanity. Now he can do the plumbing that he's got to do. We pop the toilet off for him because we're in the same room with him. Mm-hmm. And now if he's got to do, change any valves on the toilet, anything, move anything, we did demo and plumbing day one.
Love that.
To the point where we've got the shower pan, it's full, it's plugged, it's ready for inspection the next morning. And then my guys can go in there, start working on flooring, drywall, whatever. As soon as the inspector comes in, passes it, we're on to the shower surround. So we're really getting that dialed in. I think, man, we've done a couple full bathrooms, one in 6 days and one in 7 in the past month. And that's just, we tell everybody 10, and we're in a 6 or 7, and our customers are ecstatic. We're in and out and we're gone. Their bathroom's done. So we're really trying to perfect bathroom.
I love that.
And it's a unique position because it's very difficult.
This video is sponsored by Leak Pro. Go check out leak-pro.com.
Where you have so many different talents under the same roof that are all W-2 employees, and we can kind of take all those talents and mold them into new talent.
About what's it cost to someone to get their bathroom remodeled? And I'm sure there's a lot of different variables.
There are $25,000 to $35,000, depending on the materials you pick and the square footage, the size of the bathroom, all that kind of stuff. But that's about the average, $25,000 to $35,000 for a full bath, and that's tile. Going back to your question, the 1 day bath. Mm-hmm. So we do acrylic wall panels. You can do those in 1 day. You cannot do those legally in 1 day. Right. They're doing the shower valves. They're doing hooking up the drains,
moving the drains.
They're not flood testing it. They're not inspecting it. We can do those in a couple of days. Right. We can demo it. We've gotten to the point where we can demo it. We can put the wall panels. We can put the pan in. We'll have the plumber put the drain in. Plumber do the head wall, so shower valve, everything else, and we'll leave the head wall completely exposed. The pan flooded. We'll wait for the inspection. We'll go back in. Do the last wall, do the trim pieces, stuff like that, and we're out. But you can't do it legally in 1 day. You can't. You're cutting corners. Those acrylic pans leak too.
Oh yeah,
right.
And when the plumber moves the drain, that should all be inspected.
It should. Yep, and that's not happening. I've hired people that have worked in other companies to come in and do installations for us, and we have to retrain them on what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. I think, going back to what we were discussing earlier, it is difficult being a handyman company that doesn't cross the line into the trades on purpose.
But for y'all, it's easy.
Right. It is easier.
You've got your referral partners.
Correct. And we refer back and forth. But the hard part though is that when we do have new people who have been doing it their way for so long, that they come in and we tell them,
don't do this.
But that's the way I've always done it.
Yeah.
And, they cross the line and we have to retrain them. So sometimes we do plumbing. It shouldn't be done.
No, I get it.
We make corrections. Hey, you cannot do that. Why? Because it's illegal. We turn down about 750 calls a year.
You don't turn them down.
We refer them.
You refer them.
We refer them out.
Yes. But right. No, but that's good. And when I say you don't turn them down, I didn't mean that bad.
Yeah.
I think most plumbers and HVAC techs, and probably plumbers the most, I don't think a lot of handymen come in and say, yeah, I can fix your HVAC system.
Correct.
But they come in and look, it's easy to change a lavatory faucet.
Sure.
It's easy. It's easy to change that garbage disposal.
Mm-hmm.
It's the kitchen. You know what? I can pull that whole sink out, put in a new one for half the price a plumber will do it for.
Right.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
You're not getting it permitted. You're not getting it inspected. You're probably not doing it right. You're not using the best materials. You're using whatever you can get. I love the fact that, to me, this is a legitimate trades company, a legitimate home service company. And I think the way that y'all are doing it is phenomenal. In the beginning, you didn't have to market.
Right.
Now you're marketing because you're really growing.
Right. Got to keep guys busy. Got to keep the families fed. Got to keep them working. Yep.
What has been your best form of marketing for a handyman company?
I would definitely say that LSA, local service.
You bet.
Local service ads.
Uh-huh.
Has been very good to us. There's not a lot of handyman companies large enough or priced correctly or understand that there's their pricing structure to be able to afford to market. And then there's, just the size of most handyman businesses is so small that they don't really need to market. So they'd just be overwhelmed so fast. And then, we actually about 4 months ago hopped on a radio station. I thought that would do pretty well because being in home services for 24 years, I've listened to a lot of radio. You get a lot of windshield time, right?
Yeah.
I've never heard a handyman on the radio ever. And who right now, today, doesn't have something at their house that we could go work on right now. And I think that's the great thing about handyman. And, if you have other trade people listening to this that are in electrical, plumbing, or HVAC, never mind. I'm not going to say what I was about to say.
Yeah, just have somebody you can refer.
I know where you're going with that. Yeah, don't do the other thing.
Yeah, don't do that other thing.
Or do it somewhere else, not here.
Yeah. No, it is such a phenomenal idea. Tell everybody again who you are and where you're from, what you do.
Yeah, so I'm Ben Alexander. I own a company here in Dallas, Garland, Texas called Hank's Handyman Services. So do handyman work and bathrooms, windows, and doors.
Let's go back to the day you walked out of high school. You wake up the next morning, you walk out the front door. You're either going to find a job or you're going to do something. If you could go back right now to that little Ben coming out of the front door and you can stand there knowing everything you know now, what would you tell him?
It's going to be okay. It's going to be better than you think.
So sometimes at that age, it does look pretty bleak.
Dang, man, you're going to get me all emotional here now. I wasn't expecting that one.
It's, well, I was there too.
Yeah. And I don't ever think it was a conscious, I think it was just I got to work more today. Well, okay, I'll just skip school and go to work. Oh, I got to work again. And then I just think it was more of I just didn't go back because I was working. So, yeah, what's funny is, I don't really tell a lot of people about any of that. There's a few key people that kind of knew that story, but, walking into one of my partner companies, with a CEO title. And to me, I was like, I'm a CEO. What does that mean? I was just like sweeping the shop a few minutes.
You bet. I was carrying out the trash yesterday.
Yeah. I was like, CEO, what does that mean? Like, you think of CEO, you think of some glamorous thing. And I'm like, I cleaned the toilet and I picked up the trash in the parking lot. And Yeah, I'm carrying boxes.
And that's what a good CEO does.
I'm carrying boxes upstairs, marketing pieces, the hanging door hangers. But, people started approaching me at the other business and just, hey, what college did you go to? And all this other kind of stuff. And I would joke, I was like, I'm a dropout. And I would see the look on their face, and they totally weren't taking me serious.
You bet.
So I actually had the opportunity and to go on stage and tell my story in front of 150 people, which was devastating, actually, because there's a lot of young emotion to that. My wife went because she knew it was going to be devastating. She was crying. I couldn't look at her.
Yeah.
I was like, nope, she's over there, but I'm looking over here.
Yeah.
But, man, it was surreal to be able to tell the story and like stand up in front of people. I was like, why are these people listening to me? It's just me. I don't understand why anybody would want to listen to what I'm saying.
I get it. When I walk on stage, I start off, I'm Roger Wakefield. I'm just a plumber.
Yeah.
And it's true.
Then you turn around, bend over a little bit and prove it.
No, no, I'm on the professional side. Okay. So
you got the white shirt going with the collar.
I've never wanted, to be that butt crack plumber.
Yeah.
I don't like that stigma.
Yep.
It's like, look, we can be professionals too.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's neat that people like you and I can go from, I think in high school, I probably was voted most likely to go to prison. I was always fighting, always in trouble.
That was me.
And it's like, there's a way for anybody to turn their lives around.
There is.
And to me, getting that job in the summer, working with a plumbing company, and showing up on a job site, and you get together with a group of guys that are doing one thing. We're remodeling a building. There's plumbers, electricians, HVAC techs, sheetrockers, carpenters, everybody there. And it's like, man, this is neat. This is neat. And the camaraderie, the teamwork, it's really neat. And I played athletics in high school, so man, it just flowed right into it, and I loved it. And I'm kind of like you. It's like, one day it's going to be okay. It's going to get better than this. And we don't always understand that at that age. When we're young, we've been in trouble forever. Everybody's told us we're never going to amount to anything.
Yep.
All these different things.
No consistency.
Oh yeah, none at all.
No, every year's moving. Every meal is uncertain.
Mm-hmm.
You don't. Maybe you're not. If you are a believer, you're a younger believer, and your walk is new.
You bet. And there's not as much faith.
There's not as much faith, for sure. Want to learn some faith? Start a fast-growing business.
No doubt. No doubt.
So,
well, Ben, this has been fun.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it.
All right. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you.